We're here with Tess O'Shaughnessy from Oregon Weight Loss Surgery, and she's going to tell us kind of a personal account of what happened to her. It's stunning to me that you are a person who actually had the surgery because you look so normal. So tell us, give us an idea of what you looked like before.
Yeah, I was 300 and about 45 pounds at my heaviest, which size-wise, you know, girls go on the 2, 4, 6, 8, and I was about a 36 and 38. So I actually had to have my clothes custom made because there was nothing that fit me, even in plus-size stores.
I know for a lot of people, they wonder, how does a person get that big? Were you always a big kid when you were small?
It really became noticeable in my adolescent years, 12 to about 15. And then I was morbidly obese when I graduated high school. And then, unfortunately, it's just a vicious cycle. Once you get to that point of limited mobility and it takes a lot more food to fill you up, you just keep gaining weight.
And so is your family, is this a genetic trait that's passed along?
Not really. There are some folks in my extended family that I've struggled with weight, but not until their later years, 40, 50, after they've had kids. But not in their younger years, specifically not in their childhood years.
So I know many people still debate, is this a genetic trait, is it environmental, is it a metabolic problem? What's your conclusion after having lived this life?
Well, I do think that there was some genetic makeup, obviously being a 5-year-old kid and struggling with weight. But my friend told me a great quote. She said, genetics are the loaded gun, and your environment is what pulls the trigger.
Oh, that
hands
makes
down.
sense.
And so I had the odds a bit stacked against me to begin with, but it was definitely my environment. And when you're overweight, you have a tendency to be around other people who struggle with the same things, which was food. So
sure.
Yeah, I didn't place myself in a good position to improve my health, but unfortunately it just got worse.
So Tess, we've all seen the stories of these people who become morbidly obese, and your life really has to stop for a while just to manage your weight. So did you have to have people coming into the house to help you, that whole story?
I was a college student and ended up losing my college scholarship due to lack of attendance at classes, and it really was because I couldn't get up and down the stairs. They didn't have seating that fit me. It was embarrassing to have to request special testing circumstances, because I couldn't get to and from places or find a place to sit to take my exam. And being around a bunch of young, good-looking, thin, active 20-year-olds, it was even more intimidating than probably your general population.
Wow. And so was this when you decided to do something about it?
It was. I decided at that point, when I had found myself, I had not left my home in about 2 weeks. And I was just pretty ashamed of the fact that my life had disintegrated before me. And I knew that it was going to take a much more drastic approach than all the other diets and exercise and nutritionists I had tried in the past.
Because I'm sure you've gone through the gamut of the grapefruit and the elimination and all the other things you tried.
Every diet book I had tried, every attempt at, trimming down with only eating, protein, no carbs. I had tried everything, and I knew how to lose weight. I just didn't know how to keep it off.
So one of the things I know, the timing was right for you because they'd begun this new surgery and it had FDA approval, and then they kind of got the kinks out for the first couple of years in the number of people who kind of didn't know that you couldn't start eating right away, and they had some really bad side effects. But you landed right in the sweet spot, I guess.
Yeah, there's always a bit of a trial and error sequence of events for folks right off the bat, but doctors really became wise with implementing a lot of preoperative requirements before surgery. So I did have to learn exactly what was expected after the surgery. It's not a magic tool, but I was trained on how to use it, so I knew when to
let's talk about
it.
it. What are the requirements for somebody who agrees to have this kind of surgery? It's very serious.
Yeah, it's not an easy process by any means. There's multiple appointments you have to have with different specialists, such as dietitians, and I had to have a psychological evaluation. I had to do a sleep study. I sat down with a physical therapist to test my range of mobility. And then once everyone in that group said, okay, I think this girl has what it takes to be successful, then I met with the surgeon. And then I talked with a surgeon about more of the medical side of things and my current health and high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and diabetes, and all the things that go along with being obese. And then we worked through that about what my life was going to have to look like after surgery in order to be able to still function with all those health issues. And then I lost all the weight and now they're gone.
Okay, so let's talk about the surgery itself. What actually happens when you have the surgery? Do they actually close off part of your stomach?
I had a lap band, and so it's different than the gastric bypass.
Okay.
And they wrap an inflatable, adjustable balloon around the top part of my stomach. And what happens is you can adjust that balloon by getting a shot of saline solution or sterile water, and it runs through this tubing, which is all internal. You can't see anything on the outside.
Wow.
And it cinches my stomach and forms somewhat of the function of an hourglass. You have the big portion, and then you get that real thin neckline, and then it opens back up. So my stomach is a bit like an hourglass, where I have the smaller section on top, which is now my new stomach. That's what I can consume until I get full. When it builds up, and then it slowly seeps through that thin little section that's cinched, and then I still have my normal stomach below.
Wow. So do you get hungry twice?
You don't get hungry twice. I'm actually never hungry. It cinches a neurological connection or changes the gut hormone levels, or they don't really know why, to be honest, but
Wow.
I'm never hungry. It doesn't register hunger.
Well, do you enjoy food anymore then if you're not hungry?
Not to the same level. It's more because I get tired and weak and
Yeah.
I need it for the energy, but let's say the cravings have diminished a lot, but I actually have to set cell phone reminders to myself to remember to eat
Oh my goodness,
because
wow.
my body doesn't tell me.
That's remarkable. So what were all the side effects that I have heard of? People who got that surgery, and I'm not sure if it's the same one or the previous one you mentioned, and then had a normal meal and they can actually become violently ill. Why is that?
It's because what happens is they have something that's going to restrict the quantity. So if you don't listen to your body when they say you're full and you continue to overeat, you're really not leaving the food to go anywhere but up, because it really doesn't have the option to flow down. That's what you have a bypass, you cut the stomach, and then it's really that small and it has to break down and then digest. The band, it can't fall through that little hole fast enough, so the more you keep filling it, you're just going to eventually have to throw up in order to get any relief.
Oh my goodness, was that hard to get used to, what the normal portions were?
It did.
You've been eating a lot of
It did
bigger
take
portions.
it took some adjustment time for me, and for me more than just figuring out when to stop, it was what do I do now when food had become so much of my life. So I had to change a lot of my thought process and implement new activities and a lot of behavior modification.
Sure, because a lot of your life geared around the next big meal.
That's right.
And then maybe now it's what? Exercise and friends and
Friends,
going out.
social life, getting excited to, celebration doesn't always mean a meal, where before it did. And when I had a bad day, I didn't look forward to a meal. I looked forward to, finding something else to do entertaining. I found more of myself.
Now you've decided to go to work for Oregon Weight Loss Centers. I guess that's because you had such a dramatic effect and it changed your life.
Yeah, it's pretty much the best mission that I could represent. I have an opportunity to tell people that I understand their current place with being morbidly obese.